Hey guys, and welcome back to Santa's Workshop. Today we're going to be finishing the workshop, detailing the area around it, and doing a few other really fun builds. Starting with a festive plaza on the platform that we built last episode. So just sit back and enjoy, and if you do, don't forget to subscribe or leave a like. Let's get right into the build. So as I said, we're going to start off by building a plaza sort of thing here on this empty platform, which was the last thing I built last episode. Now I'm not entirely sure if it is that realistic having public space like this by a factory, never mind one so far away from the town, but seeing as it is Santa's workshop, I wanted to make it feel more festive and fun, something I've done with this plaza. And the first thing I'll be building here is this yard that sells or gives away Christmas trees. And I've just outlined it with a fence prop, used a very specific and useful Christmas trees for sale sign, and then placed a nice little shack to handle inventory and the like. Now I also placed some already decorated Christmas trees in the corners, as it made sense to have some trees that are not for sale and are instead for purely display purposes. And I also used some of Ronix 9's always useful dirt decals to ruin the pure snow a bit where my trees would go. And it did take me a while to settle on which tree to use, but I eventually went with this shorter pine tree. And I placed them in clusters, ensuring to leave space for people to walk around the trees and pick out the one they want to take home. And I also placed some trunks where trees have been chopped down. And then just to make it a bit more festive, I ended up putting some Christmas lights on the fences. With my Christmas tree yard done, I used PO to separate these little stalls with Christmas lights from a Snowfall Christmas Plaza building. And then I made 2 rows of these that will make up a large portion of our own Christmas Plaza. What these stalls are for, I'll leave up to the imagination. Maybe they have food, maybe they have carnival games, who knows. And having properly positioned my stalls, I began hanging Christmas lights all the way around my retaining wall. A process that, while painstaking, added a lot to the overall look of the area. And then I added some benches and planters for my row of illuminated trees in the main thoroughfare of the plaza, making it a place for workers to spend their lunch breaks or grab a warm drink before heading home on the train. And over here by the edge of the platform, I also placed some fire pits that I really love, as they warm up the area both literally and visually. And I surrounded my fire pits with benches and firewood shelves, finishing up my elevated platform. After that, I began one of my favorite builds that I've done so far in the North Pole, being the Reindeer area. And I'd originally considered giving the reindeer houses and the like, but that for me felt super complicated and not really believable. So instead I went with creating a standard set of fields separated from the rest of the area by some fences. And seeing as Santa's reindeer can fly, the fence serves less as something to keep the reindeer in, and more as something to give them their own area within the North Pole that is separated from the elves. And I used these reindeer spawners to populate the fields, and to be honest, I'm really pleased with how they look and how they move around, as it really does make the whole project feel much more alive. Then I used PO to build some simple shelters to protect the reindeer from the elements, and I placed some vanilla shrubs all over the ground to ensure that the reindeer are able to graze and eat. And then just to make the area feel a bit more festive, as this is, City Skylines Christmas, I put some Christmas trees around the shelters and then some illuminated trees along the fence. I built a dirt road at the base of the platform to outline its elevation and connect to the stable building that I've used for the reindeer area. And that road will also curve behind the workshop and connect to this wonderful asset. being Jen's brick slaughterhouse, which we obviously won't be using as a slaughterhouse, and it'll instead serve as the warehouse where all of the toys are stored, which is definitely a much less depressing purpose. I used PO to fit it more closely to the space I wanted it to fill, and I changed its color to more closely match the reddish brick which we've used through the course of the build. And finally I covered it and all of its ridges with the same Christmas lights I used on the workshop. Now over here we've got another really awesome detailed build, as originally in this spot I'd planned to build a pond, and then I realized that still water in the North Pole would definitely be frozen. So I decided to turn it into a skating rink and covered over the pond with ploppable surfaces and some ice decals that I'd found on the workshop. Then, when I was looking for something to wall off the pond with, I found City Walk City Wall's wooden wall network, and I really liked how it looked with the red brick and the warm firelight. So I decided to replace my retaining walls with some wooden walls placed around the platform. Having replaced the walls and adjusted the lights to the new width of the walls, I returned to working on the area by the skating rink, starting by placing a few more fire pits on the exposed remainder of the platform, along with some illuminated trees overlooking the rink. Then I placed some surfaces along the edge for where people could put on and take off their skates before or after heading onto the rink, and I used some stairs to bridge the considerable height difference between the plaza and the ice. I also added some short benches for people to sit, and I also put some more trees on the side of the rink to seclude it a bit more from the road. Moving on from the rink, I began working on this area here by the road at the back of the workshop. And I wanted to make a little platform to load toys headed towards the storage warehouse onto some form of vehicle. So I used PO to make the platform jut out onto the road and cover the bumpy terrain. And then I took out another workshop building and used it to create an exit for all of the toys to be moved out of the workshop. After that, it was just a matter of putting some boxes on the platform just so that it wouldn't be completely empty and to breathe a bit more life into the area. I continued livening it up by using PO to modify some sim props into much shorter elves, and then I also added some pretty bright lighting to the area, as it is of a bit more industrial nature than the rest of the workshop, and I think it looks really good having this one really bright light. Now that is all for today, and really for the entirety of our workshop build, and the next episode of Christmas will see us begin our Christmas village, and I'll maybe be doing a live stream of landscaping the area around the workshop and filling in some empty spaces on Sunday, December 27th at roughly 5 p.m. EST. And I'll keep you posted on YouTube community if I'm able to figure out how to stream in time. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to leave a like or subscribe. And if you want early access to the next episode or really just to support the channel, you can do so on my Patreon. Thanks for watching and Merry Christmas.